With 2 matches gone, Martin O'Neill has 1 win and 1 draw. In this Forest Ramble Podcast Extra, we look at how his return could affect Forest promotion prospects. Hi there, and thanks for joining us. In this Forest Ramble Podcast Extra, we're doing a special programme today to look at the reaction to Martin O'Neill being appointed as the manager of Nottingham Forest. I asked our regular contributors, Stephen Topless, Baz and the Maradona of the Midlands, to give me a few thoughts on the appointment of Martin O'Neill, especially with his first couple of matches under his belt. Just to start off with, speaking before Saturday's victory against Wigan, I asked Baz, what was your initial reaction to Martin O'Neill's appointment?
If you'd said to me 10, 15 years ago that I would happy with Martin O'Neill as manager, I'd have been absolutely overjoyed. Nowadays, I have the slight worry that he's a bit out of date. Players are used to being treated slightly differently to them. Tactics have moved on. He's an intelligent man, but has he moved on as well? That's the question.
After the Wigan game, I asked the same question to first the Maradona of the Midlands and then Stephen Topless.
The appointment of Martin O'Neill has been greeted with more than its fair share of pessimism by the Forest faithful, with many worried that he has lost his managerial mojo, and put simply, that he's past it. I disagree with this and prefer to see his experience as an asset. The recent history of the Championship has shown older managers such as Redknapp, Allardyce and Warnock using their know-how to lead teams to promotion, and I think Martin can repeat this trick, maybe even this season.
My initial reaction to Martin O'Neill's appointment was one of maybe slight disappointment, only that anyone who listened to the podcast knew that I would have preferred Jukanovic to get the job. But the more that I read and I heard about O'Neill and then heard him speak, I came round to the idea and I'm fully on board with it. And I'm recording this after the Wigan game, so he's got his first win, and the first half was poor and the second half was much better. So if we have more performances like that second half, then I think we could have a strong end to the season.
With a defensive crisis looming, O'Neill moved quickly to sign Yohan Benalouan from Leicester City on an 18-month deal. However, with Danny Fox looking like he's on his way out, the problems in defence may not be over. However, I did ask the boys, what do you think we need to strengthen and where do you think O'Neill's priorities will lie? Again, starting off with Baz, before the Wigan match.
In terms of transfers and stuff, obviously we've got a defensive crisis, so we need to rebuild the back line somehow. Obviously as well with Fox leaving, which looks quite apparent now. On top of that, I can see Martin going for a winger who's a bit more aggressive, who runs a bit harder, and a central midfielder who's supposedly creative, but again, runs a bit, works a bit harder. I can't see Carvalho playing for us again, or if he does, it's only going to be a slight cameo.
Who will obviously need to add some defensive cover over the next 24 hours. And in a dream scenario, we would also add some goals to the midfield. As long as we are playing fantasy football, why not go for someone like Jared Bowen or Bradley Dack? With these two maybe being ambitious targets, a more realistic one may be Alan Brown of Preston, who seem to score every week.
I think he'll strengthen. Well, I think he's got to strengthen defence. That's the weakness right now because of all the injuries we've got. Dawson out for 6 weeks. Hefele now out for the rest of the season. He's already brought in Benalouan, who's been pretty good so far, but we're still having to play Jack Robinson at centre half, which isn't his best position. So we need to move him back at left back and get another centre half in. It looks as if Danny Fox is off to Wigan. He didn't play against them on Saturday. So, yeah, 2 or 3 defenders I think O'Neill will be looking to bring in. 1 or 2 central midfielders possibly. I know Andy King's been linked and that might be an option. And I think a striker as well. It could do with another striker if... I don't know if Hans Sarafard is in his plans or not when he comes back from the Asian Cup. And we've got Murphy and Graben, who are doing okay, but Graben's gone off the boil a bit. So I think we could do with a bit more competition up top course, no Sudani as well with injury. So I think that'll be an area to strengthen, or to at least look at strengthening.
The next question I asked our podders was, how realistic do you think it is that Forest might still get promoted this season?
Promotion is still achievable. We're not that far off, really. But it all depends on how quickly Martin can get his ideas across and get the team rebuilt in his image. This entire squad, this entire side is Karanka's. It's built to play his way. They play that particular style. It was working almost perfectly, not quite. There were obviously problems with it, but until sort of the beginning of December, it was working really well, and it was designed that way. Now, Martin's obviously got his own style of play, his own way of doing things. Whether he can get it to rebuild in that form, there's obviously a dismantling job to happen first, and that's the thing that's worrying, because that's going to take time. So personally, I think the rest of this season is going to be a total write-off. It's going to be very unpleasant to watch.
I know as a fan base we've been conditioned to expect failure and annual managerial change, but that is not Martin's fault. For the good of the club, we need to back Martin 100% and not let the inevitable setbacks derail our promotion challenge.
Promotion is still realistic this season. The win against Wigan puts us now back within 4 points of the playoff spots, although a couple of teams above do have a game in hand. And to be in that position with, what would it be, 17, 18 games left to play, that's not too bad. And now that we've got the win, the first win for Martin ONeill, that might get the players' confidence back up, and we go on a bit of a run where we might string together 4 or 5 unbeaten games, a couple of wins in there, and it's all looking rosy again. So to be ninth as it stands and in the position we are, that does mean promotion is still a possibility.
A little bit of pessimism there from a windswept Baz, but that was before the Wigan game, whereas a little bit more hope and a little bit more optimism from the Maradona, the Midlands, and from Stephen. Finally, I did want to ask the question that I think some of us were thinking even if we didn't want to say it, which is, how realistic are the chances of Martin still being the Forest manager in a year's time?
Next season, when we rebuild the side in his image, I think, once again, the football is going to be quite unpleasant to watch, but I can see him being a success.
As for if Martin ONeill will still be Forest manager in a year, that's the difficult question. I would hope that he is, because the constant changing of managers, as we know now, it does the club no good. In this situation, that was Karanka's doing. He decided to walk away, so the club can't be blamed really for that one. I just hope with ONeill that they've brought the right man in, and that he can, over the next year, do a good job, starting with the last couple of months of this season. All being well, he'll still be here for the beginning of next season and for some time after. It's something that Forest needs to do. They need some continuity, and for me, that'll be the only way that the club progresses.
If nothing else, we've learnt that just getting a win can make things feel much, much better. And I'm sure Martin will feel much, much better, and I'm sure the players will feel much, much better for having achieved that win. As Baz mentioned in his mini-match report, let's not kid ourselves. Wigan weren't a great team, but at the same time, you can only beat what's out there in front of you. The other thing that was encouraging is that Martin did choose a different tactical approach. So to those who accused him of being very rigid, 4-4-2, old school when it comes to tactics, I think that shows that, I think a good manager will be a pragmatist. And let's not forget that Martin did interview for the job. He impressed Maranakis, who knows what he's doing. Anyway, it was a good victory in the end. Let's hope there's many more to come. And whatever else you think about the progress of Forest for the rest of the season under Martin ONeill, at least we've had a better weekend than Big Alan Hardy. We'll be back with the regular podcast next month and hope to have some mini-match reports in the meantime. Thanks for listening.